What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today I am joined by the Fandom Menace author himself, Stephen Walton. What's going on, Stephen?
How you doing, everybody? Thank you for having me on, Jeremy. I appreciate the opportunity to allow me to pitch the book to the community.
No problem at all. I'm going to let you introduce our other guest because this is going to be the first time you have announced this publicly, so I'm going to go ahead and let you announce our other guest.
Yeah, as I have been trying to put this book together and collect people to help me with it, I found this gentleman over here. His name is Mike Reese. He is my co-author. He's helping me put this book together, and it's about time that I announced him and introduced him to the community. So this is the man that's going to be helping me make this happen.
What's going on, Mike? And you're from Bleeding Fool, correct?
I do contribute at Bleeding Fool, yes.
Great website, and I appreciate the work you guys doing. So how are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, and I just want to say thank you so much for having us on, Jeremy. It's a great opportunity, and I can't thank you enough. So hello to everybody out there, of course, and thank you very much for having us.
Now, I want to go ahead and let you repeat a little story you were telling. So you said you sent an email to me right before we went live. I told you I wanted you to tell that on air. So go ahead and tell me that one real quick.
Well, I mean, it would have been back before. I think you were still around maybe 65,000 or perhaps 70,000 subs. And it was a particular week. I don't know what was going on in the general community at that time, but you were burning it at both ends. And people were telling you in the feed, you know, you got to get some sleep, Jeremy. You've been up for a long time. So I just whipped you off an email quick and said, you know, it's time to go to bed, Chief. And you wrote me back and said, thank you. You know, just a short, quick one because I knew you were bonked. And so after that, I figured, you know, that's a quick one. And the sub count kept going up and up. And I figured, well, I'm just not going to send any more emails because they're probably not going to get through. I can't imagine what the inbox looks like. So there you go. That's my Jeremy story.
I appreciate it. And that confirms that I do respond to emails, not very much, but I do respond every now and then. So
it certainly makes a difference. So I think.
Yes, sir. Okay. So Stephen, you and I have had several conversations over the past few months, and you have been following the Fandom Menace for quite some time. And I want you to talk about what led you to the Fandom Menace, first of all. So tell me your journey into the Fandom Menace and your
Well, my journey into all this started before Last Jedi drop. Was having some difficulties in my home, financial problems. My mother-in-law got cancer. My girlfriend was going through that with her family. You know, while she was doing that, trying to take care of her, she wasn't able to work. So our bills were falling behind pretty steadily. Work was getting kind of hard for me. And any parent knows when you're having financial difficulties and you have to act like everything's fine to your child while wondering if you're going to be able to get the lights on or be able to get them pants for school, it's a pretty difficult time. The few dollars that we did have, we saved up for an event that I've been waiting for my entire life, all damn near my entire life. And during the months leading up to that event, my son and I, with really no money, all we had to do was look forward to this and look at Star Wars theory videos and different little clips and tidbits for the movie that was coming up, waiting in anticipation for my childhood hero to be on screen once again. So the opening night, my son and I went all the way to the theater, sat in the parking lot, listened to Weird Al's Saga Begins, and you know, all pumped up and ready. We go in and we were served a cinematic middle finger. Just a complete wreck. And it was heartbreaking. And I was very confused. I didn't understand what had just happened. You know, how could something like this turn out the way it did? It was like a propaganda piece. It was telling me that I didn't matter. And then what led in the subsequent weeks after, with Disney Lucasfilm employees like Ryan Johnson saying, going on TV and saying, I enjoy ruining people's childhoods, attacking us on Twitter with fanboy mugs and fanboy tier mugs and all that, telling me and my son that we were racist, alt-right, Trump-supporting, sexist, blah, 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 bots. You know, for people like me in the working class, struggling, who need to go to a theater, who want to go to escape, that need escapism, just something to distract us. That was a very difficult experience for both me and my son. It took away a bonding experience for the two of us. And not only that, but the way that we were treated by people at Disney Lucasfilm and how they reacted. while I was in the midst of this confusion, while I'm trying to keep my head up, while the bills are piling up, while I'm trying to be there for my girlfriend and her kids, when I'm trying to be there while they're taking care of their grandmother and their mother passing away slowly, being eaten away by cancer, and all the walls are closing in, and I'm trying to be strong. The only outlet that I had, the only entertainment I had was my phone. That's it. And I don't remember what I put into that phone. I don't remember what I put in there. But I remember that a channel came up I had never heard of before. And there was a guy on the other end in a video called "It's Time to Admit the Truth About the Last Jedi." And I watched that video, and on the other end of that screen was a dude that I'd never met, had the same feelings that I had, the same confusion, the same, what the hell just happened? And from that video, that led me to other creators who felt the same way: World Class Bullshitters, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, Mindless Entertainment, John Talks, SC Reviews, Random 42, Nerdrotic, Doomcock, everybody, Mauler, everybody. And in that time, while I was struggling to keep a roof over my head, while Disney Lucasfilm was busy attacking us and calling us names and labels, the only people that I had in my life were people that I had never met. The only people to distract me, the only entertainment, the only distraction I had from what I was going through were these YouTubers who were standing up and being the voices for we the fans against all the propaganda the access media was thrown at us. And not only them, but the people in the chats that helped me out, the people in the chats that were there that I could converse with just to forget for a little bit, the Barbarella Alphas, the Stephanie B's, you know, all of you guys, the Bruce Lombardos, like, you guys were there for me too. And I didn't know any of you. I have no illusions. You know, you're not my friends, but you're entertainers, and you helped me through that time. When I finally came out on the other end at the end of 2018, I finally got myself stable again. I realized that all that time that I'd wanted to super chat, I wanted to buy merch, I wanted to do things to help you guys, to help support what you were doing for us. I realized that I still couldn't do that. What could I do? Well, I'm a writer. So I am documenting everything from the creation of the Fandom Menace right before, all the way through the first year and a little bit after, as a thank you to write it down for posterity, so that in 10, 15 years, when people say, why was this era of movies and entertainment so bad? Why am I, you know, when they go back and research it, why are all these fandoms being attacked? Here's why, and here are the people that stood up against it.
Wow, that was incredible. I've talked to you on the phone and I've heard that passion, but that was something else right there, man. And I appreciate the kind words. I remember that video vividly. That was the one video where I really did start to accept it. I did not want to. We as Star Wars fans don't want to accept that we've just served a pile of shit. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to love it. We were trying to force ourselves. I am the leader of the Fandom Menace, is what everybody says, okay? I'm the one that they say, he just hates Star Wars for a living. Motherfucker, I want to love Star Wars. I defended the prequels all of those years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I left that theater, and I was telling my friends, I was talking to my friends about it, and I'm like, no, I love this movie. They're like, Jeremy, listen to what you're saying. Like, everything you're saying says you hate it, but you follow it up by telling yourself, because I was in denial, because I loved The Force Awakens. I was excited for The Force Awakens. I was the biggest fan of what Disney was trying to do. And so I went into that movie, and I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that it was so bad, and because we all wanted to love it. Yeah. And I believe that video was sometime in like mid-January, I think. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't. It's time to accept the truth. And I appreciate, the passion, and I'm glad that video, connected with you. So well said, sir. All right, Mike. So this is the first time you and I have spoke. And like I said, I've definitely covered some stuff on Bleeding Cool. I'm sure I've covered some of the stuff that you have covered. So talk to me about, your journey into the Fandom Menace and getting aware of our channels and all of our content, things like that.
My experience is relatively the same as Steven's, and I'm sure there's lots of other people out there that feel in similar ways. I began by following, channels that were just beginning to grow. Yours, Ethan. I mean, at the time I was following Ethan, but I think he was still at like 20. He was still doing drawing videos and had just recently left DC and was just trying to kind of find his space. And so that just kind of branched into different things. I started writing for another publication before Bleeding Fool. And SJW politics kind of got in the way, and so I was offered a space at Bleeding Fool, and I'm of the same opinion as Stephen is about wanting to make a contribution maybe not having the means to be able to contribute as effectively as you wanted. So what can you offer? And so for me, outrage over The Force Awakens was something that I had written about for the other publication. They reluctantly published it because they're not that kind of site, I guess you could say. Bleeding Fool has absolutely no trouble publishing it, of course. But by the time we got to The Last Jedi, my situation was similar as Stephen's. I have a young 9-year-old boy. The experience, as you and I and Stephen also remember from our childhoods, through all of the original installments that we've experienced, I wanted that experience with my boy too. And my experience was pretty dreadful, because for me, the night was over when Luke threw the lightsaber over his shoulder. I got up out of the seat. We had a couple of friends with us. Larry Higgins from Niobe Comic was with me in the theater. He sat with my boy, and I literally walked out in disgust. And then people, the lobby was full of people, dumping the money into Scrooge's vault there, And I took the manager aside and I said, I really want my money back for this crap. And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm serious." The lens in my 3D glasses even fell out, Jeremy.
Wow.
So I literally went back in the theater, and my boy already thought something was up because I wasn't there, and we've been waiting a very long time to watch this. And so I just kind of dozed off beside him. I closed my eyes. I just didn't want to watch it. And so I woke up when Luke was willing himself to death. And I just looked at my boy and said, "That's enough for me. We're leaving." And that was it for The Last Jedi for us, man. Destroyed dreams and a broken lens. It was beautiful.
It is incredible. I don't get starstruck very often. It's really hard for me to get starstruck. I don't know if you guys saw, but Michael Jackson's nephew, Taj Jackson, contacted me, which I'm still trying to figure that one out. But we had a long phone call a few days ago, and The Last Jedi is what led him to Geeks and Gamers.
Wow.
And he said, I was being told it was a great movie. And I was like, "No, it's not. No, this is not a great movie." He's like, and I needed to find somebody that was telling me I wasn't crazy, and I ran across you. And I'm like, this is incredible. I mean, here we are all this time later, and I'm still finding out more people, found me and found all the channels associated with me and everything through this terrible movie. And again, I've said this 1,000 times, and I think both of you are going to agree with me. You can make a bad movie, and we can accept a bad movie. What we can accept is that you and your faults, you tried to call us racist and sexist and misogynist because we called your shit movie out, and you didn't want to accept that you made a bad movie. You tried to blame the fandom. This is where the problem really lies. And this is where the misconception about the Fandom Menace is out there on the internet. Is the Fandom Menace is not angry over a bad movie. The Fandom Menace is angry that we were called names and we were marginalized, and we were all told we were Trump supporters, and we were told we were white men. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you voted for. I don't. But you should never marginalize your audience. And this is exactly what Disney and Lucasfilm did. It's an echo chamber. They seem so entitled on their high horse. And so go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, it's what gets me the most is, as being a member of the working class, is that you have these privileged millionaires who speak from this woke point of virtue, preaching down to we, the unwashed masses of the working class, about how wonderfully woke they are and about how progressive and how they're fighting racism and sexism. Yet people like me, people that are struggling, people that are well off but worked their way to get there, people that live paycheck to paycheck, and this is all different classes and all different segments of our population internationally, and we're all being labeled as sexist and racist, while these people who are supposed to be fighting these things are acting in the very same way that they are calling everyone else, acting racist, segregationist, sexist, only hiring people based on gender, only hiring people based on race. That is not equality in any way, shape, or form. And that's a hypocrisy that needs to be called out. It doesn't matter what part of the political spectrum you fall on, if you care about politics. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter who you sleep with. All of us should be fighting this kind of bigotry, because if one of our rights is under attack, then all of our liberties are under attack.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I made this comment talking to Andy Signor the other day, and he was, and I'm going to upload the third part of our discussion later tonight. And I kind of flipped the script on the final part, and I basically turned it over to him. I said, "Hey, do you want to ask me any questions?" Because I wanted him to kind of get a feel for me, and you know, if he had any questions. And we kind of talked about, you know, he asked me about the forced diversity stuff in Hollywood and why am I against that? What's the problem with virtue signaling? Yada yada yada. Because he's a liberal, and he come from that left wing bubble that ultimately ate him alive. And it's just, I told him, you know, normal people don't think about these things. Normal people that have jobs and lives and bills and family and stress. It's like, we don't go to work and at lunch, you know, sit there and talk about diversity and Hollywood and all that shit. We don't do that. We don't care. We don't care if women are in movies. We don't care if a white dude or a black dude that leads the movie. We don't care. You know, Hollywood is engineering this thought process. You all are alive. You all are old enough to be in, alive and into the comics world and the movies world when Blade came out. Does anybody remember, you know, protest against a black man being in Blade? No. We all were excited for Blade. It was awesome. It was an amazing movie, you know? And do we remember Hollywood preaching about it, going, oh, finally a black man? No, because it wasn't part of their trend. You know, it wasn't part of their trend to celebrate the black man being in a movie. And it's just, so we're normal people like all of us. We're sitting around going, like, look, I'm Black Panther. I thought Black Panther was a fine movie. You know, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was fine. All right, whatever. People are treating like this, like it's the greatest thing ever. The first time a black person's ever been in a movie. And we're just like, what? What are you talking about?
So they're rewriting history. These people don't care about the past. I mean, SJW culture, they don't honor what came before them. They don't care about the past. That's why, that's why Brie Larson is breaking some kind of glass ceiling. Let's just ignore the century worth of actresses that have been in this, that have been in Hollywood. Back in a time when women's suffrage was still a thing, when first wave feminism was a thing, when real equality was still being fought for, and these people were fighting against the sexism in that industry. I mean, Hollywood today is a whole other. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And it's just, you ignore all these achievements. And another thing too, when you start talking about these people breaking glass ceilings and misrepresenting these actors that are in these films and using it as some kind of platform to virtue, you devalue every achievement that every hardworking person has done throughout all the civil rights marches. You're devaluing their contribution to history. You're acting as if it never even happened. And that's just disrespectful. That's why they don't care about how they present Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica from 15 years ago. They don't care about how they represent it because they're trying to rewrite history. And the thing is, from my opinion, if I can go outside the box just for a moment, is that this really comes from the rich elites, the top tier people. They do not want the working class uniting. Back in the 2000s, but if you remember, Jeremy, you were about the same age. Back in the late 80s, 90s, you could still say the F word, the FAG word out in the street. You could still use it. There was still homophobia, what we would call homophobia out there. And then it got to a point just 10, 15 years later where everybody in the country, gay people were getting married, and everybody was just like, okay. Even the religious conservatives, well, they're going to hell, but, they just didn't say anything. We were come to a place where we were finally accepting of the differences in the human race. And now these people, for some socio-political reason, are trying to stir up the pot, create division, so that we don't unite and look at the real problem makers in the world. And those are the people that are making policies, that are starting wars and creating those kinds of divisions.
You are 100% spot on. 100% spot on. Well said. All right. So Mike, with you coming on as the co-author of the Phantom Menace novel, tell me about how you guys met and how this collaboration came to be.
Well, that's actually a very interesting story because I have Flipped Out to thank for that. Flipped Out's taken a little bit of a hiatus for a little while, but I just want to make sure that I give them all my thanks for this because I had some real life issues, and as we all know here, real life is the most important for all these family people that are out here that make up the majority of the Phantom Menace, I'm sure. And Flip told me, I think just like you, Jeremy, I heard Steven's call I think it was September or maybe October last year. He put out a call, I want to do this project, and I think the whole community was in an uproar about it and very enthusiastic. I sent submissions. I can see that you have sent submissions as well. I've worked on yours, and so I, waited and we were just assuming that this project was happening in the background. And so my real life difficulties after Christmas time kept me offline for a couple of months. And before I went offline, Flipped Out had told me that the fellow that was working on the project didn't have very many people helping him, and that he had taken an awful lot amount of material that he was trying to organize himself, and he thought that I should reach out to him and offer some help. I just wasn't in a position to be able to do that at that time. And so as soon as I was stable enough to be able to have like Stephen said, once you're able to be stable enough just to make a contribution, I reached out to Stephen. He, of course, didn't know me from holing around like anybody else. And that's in this Indosphere, which is what I call where we all work, the videographers, the writers, the artists, the pencilers, the comic people, all of it, the whole thing. I call it the Indosphere. That's what we're all part of. And how can we collaborate, and how can we make new networks and new connections? And so I just said to him, look, just send me a chapter. I'll do what I do. And, you tell me. And so, he was on his desk in the morning, and he liked what he saw, and pretty much everything after that was history, and here we are.
Good stuff. I love hearing about collaborations like that. I mean, I've developed so many friendships, relationships throughout all of this. It's been amazing. When it first started, I think it's the first two people that actually reached out to me to kind of collaborate with me was Jesse Milestone and Anna, that Star Wars girl. And again, that's something that people need to understand, being proactive, I mean, Jesse reached out to me. I didn't reach out to Jesse. Anna reached out to me. I didn't reach out to Anna. I was aware of Anna because her video about The Last Jedi was getting some major traction at that point. So I'd seen it. And then Jesse sent me a email, and I looked at it and I said, "This chick seems crazy. I don't want anything to do with her." And I've told her that. So, but she also said, "Yeah." She goes, "I saw your video," and I was just like, "I don't like this guy. So let me send him an email. I don't like him." But those are two of my best friends now, and it's all because of this. And there's so many other relationships. I was watching a video the other day. I'm not going to give the video a plug, but it was somebody that going after the Fandom Menace. And,
I've seen some of it.
Yeah. Towards the end, this person highlights a video from EVS where EVS had the Rose action figure. And I was so happy. I was like, I forgot all about that. That is the first time I became aware of Ethan Van Sciver, and I gave him a shout out, and I didn't know who Ethan Van Sciver was, and somebody sent me the video, and it was hilarious where he has this Rose Tico doll, and he's being so sarcastic, and I gave him a shout out, and he commented back, and then I said, yeah, we'll collaborate, and he's messaged me. He says, dude, people are freaking out because you gave me a shout out, and then I start looking into Ethan, and I'm like, dude, you're pretty damn famous. And he goes, no, man, you're the famous one. And I'm like, no, you're the famous one. And and that led obviously to the High Council. And Jeff and Ethan asked me multiple times, and I really just I was like, I don't know if this is my. I don't know, because both of their channels, I believe, were bigger than mine at the time. It was close, but I think they were both bigger than me. And I just was like, I don't know, guys, I don't know if that's my thing. And plus I have so many things. And finally Solo came out, and they said, we have to have you on this week. It has to happen. I was like, all right, I'll join. And I joined, and everybody liked me. And, obviously I've since stepped down from the High Council. I know that was a tough decision for a lot of people within the Fandom Menace. And I hate that I had to make that tough decision, but being a leader and making tough decisions go hand in hand. And, I wish those guys all the best. I'll still pop in here and there. It looks like Random is going to be the third person on the show.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I mean, she's been on there a few times. I know Ethan's kind of floated it out there. I know nothing. I haven't talked to those guys about who it will be, because I've tried to stay out of the decision making, because I don't really think that's my place at this point. Because obviously I'm focused on Sports Wars and Geeks and Gamers, and we have so many other things going on. So, but yeah, so it's just great to see how many relationships have been born out of all this. Even though it's a terrible movie and it's been terrible what Disney and Lucasfilm have done to us, it's allowed us to develop so many amazing relationships. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you gentlemen right now. So now moving forward, talk to me about, some of the goals. with this book, and if you can accomplish those goals, what other things are you hoping to accomplish? I know you have a GoFundMe. We're going to put that in a link in the description below. You're welcome to talk about that and anything else that you think can help this project along the way. I'm more than happy to give you guys the floor and talk about that. So goals, and then future goals if this becomes a success, and anything else you want to talk about.
Well, real quick, I'd like to put out there that I'm glad I hope Mecca gets that spot on the High Council. She was one of the first people I reached out to about having involvement in this project, and I actually have a section highlighting her. I think she's a strong part of the Fandom Menace, and it wasn't just it's not just the TLJ, it's not just the Star Wars community, it's the Star Trek community. I've also been a lifelong Star Trek fan. My dad brought me up on TOS, so the same thing is happening there. It's pretty awful. The goal that I have right now is to pay for professional editing to make sure that this book is polished. When I put it out, it's going to catch the attention of Disney Lucasfilm. Trust me, it's going to catch the attention of every SJW protecting them. And I want to make sure that when this comes out, that it is as polished as it can be to protect all those involved, and so that it represents our community with the dignity that it deserves. You know, it's going to be, I'm going to be speaking about all of the major creators who helped to bring the Fandom Menace together, the first wave and the second wave. I'm also going to be talking about certain people in the community that have helped to add into this. People like Itchy Baka, Disney Star Wars is dumb. People like Data Racer, and people like Stephen Wayne Art made that great meme, that the what should have been meme. You know, and also some people in the chat that have made contributions in quotes or that have defended themselves on Twitter. You know, there's different. There's a lot of different people in this. It's not just YouTubers, and it's not just highlighting what has happened in the progression of the downfall of good entertainment and the protection of our modern mythologies. I really would like to hit this goal. I've had it out for 15 weeks now. I'm asking for $6,000. I think that'll cover all of the costs that we need to get this thing to a point where we can begin to put it out. I want to put out volume 1 before episode 9 hits for a few reasons. One, I want people outside of our fan collective who might have a chance to read this to get an idea of what we're about. People who might feel the same way. They're very discouraged. They haven't really gone to the movies or haven't gone supported Disney Lucasfilm because they don't understand what's going on. And I'd like to bring those people in. You know, you have a community here. You have a group of people here that feel just as bad as you do, feel just as heartbroken. I want that exposure. I also want to honor the people that have helped to build this community. And I want to do it right. I don't want it half-assed. I don't want it unpolished. I want it done correctly. I want this is something that is meant for posterity. So I've done all that I can with the available funds that I have to get it as far as I have. And I really need help from the community. You know, if it's $1, $5, $2, you know, whatever you can give. The faster I can get to this goal, then the faster that we can begin to put this book out. And as far as that, as the campaign goes, I will leave that off to Mike to explain.
Okay. Well said. And just real quick, yeah, I would highly urge everyone within the Fandom Menace, if you really want to support this project, I would, you know, please, $1, $5, $10, anything. I'm going to donate to it personally, and I'm hoping we can rally around each other. I have Stephen on this show for that reason. I believe in the project. I believe in what he's doing. We have had multiple phone calls over the past several months, extensive conversations, and I appreciate what he's doing. So, all right, Mike, floor is yours.
Going into just a little bit of the collaboration of the community, because I think that's very important. I particularly want to mention Ruin the Man Baby for his contribution to our foreword in the book. He's a tremendous member of our community, along with you know, the Itchy Bakas and the Thor Odinsons and the Midnight Images and all of our friends that we see on Twitter every day. He has an extensive foreword for the book. It's very flattering to the community, I will say, but I just wanted to share with you the ending of that particular foreword. I think it's something that when I read it at first, because that's the first thing that I read that Stephen had submitted to me, and I thought that it inspired me, and so I want to share that with the rest of our community, because I think that it's very important for people to understand the spirit of where we're coming from with this work. And I think that Ruin the Man Baby does a very good job of kind of conveying that kind of spirit behind what we're doing here. So I thank him very much for that contribution, and I'd like to share a part of that with all of you.
Okay.
We do not come together to project a political voice. We work together to protect ourselves, to defend our mates against what we see as bullying from the IPs that we love. We celebrate and enjoy the talents of our variety of community members, and hopefully without molestation. And this is thirsty work. Imagine a world where two reasonable people in a talk about the last Avengers film burst into a heated socio-political debate 5 minutes into a simple chat. Why? We see where this takes us. We see where this is heading. The Phantom Menace has been lumped together with alt-right racist, sexist, internet Nazi trolls for simply having opinions that are contrary to the content makers. We know that we are now designated as the new they, the enemy, the other. The infection of social justice tactics and influence now permeates the entire entertainment industry. It has taken control of everything that we love. And if you happen to be someone who does not like the new woke direction of our social climate as it relates to entertainments, you have the bias. And where you expect storytelling, but find it non-existent next to twisted and forced social and political narratives and propaganda, you are the Nazi. Yes, this is insane, I know. It is insanely divisive social policy, a pathological approach to everyday good people everywhere. This is an attack on individual thought, opinion, and expression. This pathology in our society is an attack on freedom. The Phantom Menace will not be told that our opinions are invalid because they do not align with the narrative of the content makers, their hate mobs, or their shill journos. We do not fall in line with anyone's thinking. We exercise choice. We exercise freedom. We exercise expression. Bigotards and social terrorists lie directly to our children's faces, and we will fight against this tyranny of false virtue. And we will not allow the continued use of our entertainment and their mediums to espouse hateful and ignorant rhetorics that divide and separate people into hateful little tribes. The Fandom Menace supports each other. We frequently disagree with each other in very healthy and often very open and sharp ways. And everyone tries to have fun while we're doing it without any fear of outrage or offense taking over absolutely everything or anything. Many people say that our community is a space where they can feel that they can finally breathe again. We are proud of that. We should be. To those that would silence us, we are the Phantom Menace. We were created by you. We will not move on while you destroy the things that we love. This is our story, not yours, and it's just begun.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That's the first time I've heard that. And in classic Jeremy fashion, I'm going to make a spur of the moment decision. I'm going to have him on the channel so we can talk about that specific forward right there, because that was fantastic.
Yes, Anthony Argo is a wonderful writer. Please check out his works on. He's got 3 books out on Amazon. Check him out. You know, he's really doing a lot right now for the community.
That was incredible. And I'm also going to go ahead and say this too, and it won't be edited out, but I'm going to put my full attention to getting this GoFundMe to get covered for you. We're going to do what we got to do. So it's going to happen.
Thank you, Jeremy.
So, this is good stuff, man. This is good stuff what you guys are doing. I'm happy to be a part of it. I don't claim to be the leader of the Fandom Menace. I know I get called that. If that's what I am, that's what I am. I don't feel like it's necessary to have a leader per se. What are your thoughts on that, guys? What do you think? Is it necessary for the Fandom Menace to have a leader? I want your honest opinions on that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think that, I mean, back to what you were saying earlier, Jeremy, about leadership. I'm an ex-military fellow, and so that whole executive business of making choices, and some are happy and some are unhappy, it's just a fact of life of executive leadership. And so when you have large amounts of people, demagoguery in this 21st century is something that everybody has to pay attention to, but figureheads and spokespersons and brave people that stand forward for other people aren't something that I think that people should shy away from. I think that it's important. I think that it develops enthusiasm, and people can get behind each other a little easier when they have someone that can lead them. And there are leaders in our community. There's tremendous leaders in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And in this indie sphere, and I try to remind all my comic people all the time, because there's frequent sharp ruckus that goes on over on that side of the indie sphere, and we all have to realize that independent creators are alphas, and therefore we have to recognize that about each other. We all have our own ways of doing things. We all have our own ways of getting to the goal, as it were, and we should recognize that about each other, and we should take it easier on each other, and we should help each other more. We should know that that's one of our strengths. That shouldn't be something that divides us.
Yep.
So I think that if leadership can really consider this community, because seriously, Jeremy, a year ago, these are not questions that we had to consider as a community at all. We were just all happy to be part of something.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have such an international backing and such an international following, and things seem to be growing, and people are enjoying it to such a degree that I don't think that it's a bad thing, and I don't think that if people want to step forward into that position that they should be discouraged at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I personally, and again, I obviously don't have a problem being a leader. I am a leader. I'm a leader of Geeks and Gamers, and I've been a leader my whole life. I think that the Phantom Menace does need leaders. I just don't know if it needs a specific leader, because it wasn't created by an individual. It was created by so many individuals that came together and have created it like this. So I don't feel that it's my duty to claim that. If other people want to call me that, I have no problem taking that role. I have no problem setting a tone. I have no problem battling narratives. Obviously, I don't have a problem doing that. I do it every day. But if other people want to call me that, I have no problem with it. I don't want to call myself that. I'm just happy to be among so many other people within this community. I don't think it's somebody, I don't think it's a thing where it's like you come and go, or you have to be Fandom Menace, or you don't. You can be Fandom Menace if you want. If you don't, you don't have to be. My struggle right now is I've spent so much time helping so many, smaller channels, but now I've gotten to the point I don't have time to do what I used to do. And I hate that. So I'm still continuing to try as much as I can, but unfortunately, I'm not going to make everybody happy. And that's, that's life.
I'm down on the ground. I've been the people that took me in when I first started pitching this were these smaller channels, the hungry ones, the ones that were looking, to get those subs and put out great content. And those are the channels that third wave. Those are the people that I talk with them all the time. When one of us has a success, we all rise together.
Oh yeah.
And the culture that has been created by the Geeks and Gamers, World Class Bullshitters, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and others, the culture of helping, extending a hand out and helping one another, that's something that's a part of the fabric of the Fandom Menace. That's something that went out to the second generation creators, and now that they're coming up, and now the third generation creators, the small channels, and now they're coming up, and they're taking those lessons from that. So it's the people out there that help me out. The Lethal Lightning, Black Angus, Mary Mayhem, Immortal Coil, Red Gaze. It's those people, the Rookie Critic, those people flipped out that came in and took me in. And as we rise, we will help each other rise, especially Drunk 3PO, because he's sexy.
Well, see, and that's very important. I want to make sure that that's pointed out. I want everybody out there in our community to understand that our opponents, they don't have anything like this. They don't have support structures. They don't have networks of people that are creating together. They don't have anything like this. Of course, they're jealous of us. Like Uncle Ethan said, we love that you pay attention to us.
Mm-hmm.
We love it. We love it.
Monetize them.
That's right. The Geeks and Gamers philosophy, and it's not exactly the philosophy of the Phantom Menace. As far as like the brand of Geeks and Gamers, the brand takes no position, period.
Yep.
But the individuals within the brand all have whatever opinions they want. They don't ever have to go, oh, Jeremy's mad about a tweet I made back in 2012. I don't give a fuck what you said. I don't care. Unless you're disrespecting Christopher Nolan, then I might have a problem. But outside of that, no. But all reality or anything against In-N-Out Burger, because
is it that good? I've never had it.
God, it's so good. But Anna and Jesse don't like it. And this is a problem. This is a problem.
This is going to be where the breach comes. It's over a freaking cheeseburger. Is that how it happens?
Yeah. But, I hope that we can create that within the Phantom Menace in terms of like, it's just, I love the Ruin the Man Baby, forward. I love that. But yeah, it's really just we don't have a particular belief. We're not conservatives. We're not right wing. We're not Trump supporters. We are individuals. That's it. And we have common sense. I think common sense is about the only requirement that you need in the Phantom Menace. Common sense and no SJW. That's really it.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be the motto, Jeremy, is spread common sense. Maybe motto, I don't know.
Yeah. It's because it's not so common these days.
No, it really is.
If you've got the ability to deal with an opinion, with an opposing opinion, if you can debate it, if you can do that without succumbing to name calling and doxing, you're fine.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. That's it. Again, I've said this before. You can like The Last Jedi and be here. There's a few people that watch my channel that like The Last Jedi. And I'll tell you right now, I respect the hell out of them, because I'm like, dude, if you can watch me every day,
right?
You got balls.
No, Mike and I had a conversation last night with the Real Review 3000, Chris Knight, and he likes The Last Jedi, and he laid out all the reasons that he did, and it's a different point of view. I
Yeah.
can agree that I don't like the movie, but I respected his ability to articulate why he
Absolutely.
accepted it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Most productive conversation that I've ever had with anybody that's an anti, I guess you could call it, ever. And respectful, polite, like, come back next time, man.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is possible, people. It is.
It really is. It really is. So it's been a great discussion, guys. So is there any closing thoughts, any things that you guys want to plug, anything, even if you want to ask me any questions really quick, are there anything that you guys wanted to ask me that you might could use for the book that you haven't asked me? The floor is yours. Anything you want to plug?
Well,
It's an open forum right now.
well, if there's anything that I'd want to ask you to put into the book, I'd want to do it off air. I want to make
Okay.
sure to keep as much as I can under our
Gotcha.
hats.
Totally.
What I would like to see.
It's like it when we started. I was like, save that for when we record. So you've got the
Okay.
same mentality as I. So all right, go ahead though.
I'd also like to plug that I am now writing for Chaos Central website. We have a lot of great writers there, including No Way Neophobic Jeremy is our editor, one of the Jer Army, and he is a
Nice.
great guy. He does a lot of hard work for our website. Mara Jade, various other people writing, and so come check us out and come check out some of my articles. And if you like them, come back. Other than that, I'm retooling some of my science fiction works that I had put out years ago, and I'm going to be putting them out in audio books. The first one for free, audio books. Just going to read it out on YouTube as I go through the book. Check out my channel if you're interested in science fiction fantasy, and please try and, if you can, give to the GoFundMe. Is the faster we can hit our goal, then the faster we can get the wheels turning and we can get this book out. Really, I want to get it out before 9 so that everyone remembers why they feel the way they do.
Well said, Mike.
I just want to give a call out to any people that would like to assist me, and please don't flood me in the month of September. But I would like some people to help me with proofreading and also some fact checking. So if there's anybody out there that has any kind of skill with a little bit of research, kind of quickly help me go through a small checklist of things that I want to make sure that are finished for volume 1, that would be helpful. And I know there's lots of community members that are willing to do those sorts of things. I'm not going to divulge any more material other than the fact that we may be able to speak about a potential printing or at least a launching of the campaign for the actual volume 1, which I am tentatively considering for October-ish. Other than that, I just wanted to give a few thank yous to the community, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Of course, Flipped Out, if it wasn't for him, of course, I wouldn't be here at all. Everyone in the Fandom Menace Collective, you know how important you are to all of us anyway to get this project accomplished. From General Katarn, of course, Geeks and Gamers for having us on here. I want to specifically thank, on the comic side, Peter Samedi and all the gang at Alterna for what they are giving us as far as bringing such enthusiasm back to comics. The Allfather Odin, of course, Jeremy Handley at the Quartering, Midnight Images, everyone at World Class Bullshitters, obviously. I want to specifically thank my literary companion for my greater part of my life, Larry at Niobe Comics. I also want to thank Spike the Writer Valentine for giving me the heads up on the Bleeding Fool placement and get me in contact with the editor-in-chief there. Grace at Beyond the Trailer is always a voice of moderation, it seems, and I know she's not necessarily part of our community, but she is a welcome point of view for everybody. Nick Rekieta Law, especially Doomcock, the true overlord of all of us.
Hail, Lord Doomcock.
And of course,
Hail Doomcock.
And of course, thank you, Jeremy, again for having us on. I would have never imagined last week that I would be sitting here talking to you. So my thanks, and to everyone else out there for having us. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. And again, your enthusiasm and your passion means the world to me. It makes me know that, the things we're doing right now are going to live well beyond, today and tomorrow. And it's people like you that are going to make that happen. So I sincerely appreciate it. I definitely mean it, that I will be, putting as much attention as I can behind the GoFundMe and seeing if we can help get that goal cleared. And other than that, it's been a great discussion. So for Stephen, for Mike, I have been Jeremy. Thank you guys very much. I had to do the Brie Larson. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later. Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.